Thank you for joining us for Live Paranormal Radio. From the paranormal to the unexplained, it all happens here. Looking to enhance your radio experience? Participate in our live video chat 24/7 with our Live Paranormal Radio show hosts and other like-minded people. LiveParanormal.com, the only interactive social chat room supported by Full Interaction Media. Stop by now and join the fun.
Hello, everyone. This is Niki ParaNormal, and you are listening to Live Paranormal Spotlight Radio. And I am your host this evening, who just had a uh-oh moment. That's never good to have an uh-oh moment. Well, how's everyone doing this evening? I hope everyone is fabulous. Fabulous. If anyone in the room can let me know if they can hear me, because I just had a moment. That would be great. I totally appreciate it. Hi, everyone who is able to hear me, I hope. Head on over to LiveParanormal.com and join us in the chat room, and you can talk to me and entertain me, because I would just love that. So I am looking here to see what is going on, and it's just a grumpy day in the neighborhood. Oh, fabulous. Toby is here virtually. Well, aren't I a lucky girl? Oh, good, you can hear me, because I can't see my studio, so I'm having a bit of an issue due to some falling stuff here in my studio. It should not have been placed where it was. Wonderful day. But that's kind of the tone of my entire week, if you will. So I am not sure exactly what the heck is going on, because I'm going to have trouble bringing in my guests, because I'm having trouble with my studio. What in the world? It's a beautiful day. Yeah. So before I bring my guest on, who I can't see if he has called in yet, my guest is Mike Stevenson, which you all know and love. He is an awesome gentleman who I have actually had the pleasure of speaking to before, who will also be at the Paranormal SuperCon, which is coming up, guys. If you don't know about it, if you live in the area, head on over to ParanormalSuperCon.com, where you can find out what the buzz is all about. And I suggest you do it. You do it quick, because there are tickets available, and we have some investigations coming up at that event that are just pretty darn awesome. If I do say so myself, could be a little biased, because, I'm going to be there, because I love Live Paranormal, and I will be very, very, very excited about it, as you all know. So as I'm stumbling along here trying to figure out what the heck is going on, I just gotta love Blog Talk Radio. So I'm glad you all can hear me, although you guys are probably like WTF. Let's see here. I really don't know what the heck is happening. All right. That's a great thing to hear me, I guess. This has never happened before. Anywho, in the paranormal community right now, I'm going to go ahead and do a public service announcement, and love me or hate me for it. I really don't, I don't care, because the message has got to get out there. There is so much going on, and so much unnecessary drama, and just, some not so wonderful, nice things, happening. And I know personally I've been affected by everything that's going on, and I know some other people who have too. And it's not a great feeling to feel the way that you do when you've got all this animosity and hate feelings. So yes, the public service announcement. Thank you. And I think I'll be the one. I'll take it. to tell everybody that, it's time to get over the drama, get over the BS, stop spreading lies about each other. I know personally I've been accused of some things that I am not even capable of even fathoming the idea of doing. And, for those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, congratulations. You know what? You are awesome. But for the rest of us, we have to deal with it on a daily basis, and it's not fun. So before we delete people or accuse people or jump on a bandwagon of something that we know nothing about, it's time to educate yourself or depend on your personal interactions with individuals and not base it off of somebody's biased opinion. Because, that's the paranormal. SuperCon's pretty awesome, though. That's a biased opinion that, you might want to go ahead and run with. But all this gossip and BS that's going around and being spread around, if you have never had that interaction with that person and it's kind of hard to swallow, then it probably is a bunch of BS. And just, we're supposed to all be here for one reason, and it's not to sit and talk trash about each other. It's to, and then we're getting questions in the room about what's happening. We should be here to support each other, and we should be here about the paranormal is what I'm here for. And, if you're not here for that, then, Drama Learning Center summer camp is not happening probably right now, but it will be enrolling shortly. March over there, then. This should be about the paranormal. Without further ado, though, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the guest. Poor Mike. He's going to walk in and be like, what? Mike Stevenson, who is absolutely awesome. And here he is. Mike.
Yes.
Hi.
I'm here.
I had problems with my studio. I am good. I was just doing a public service announcement about all the para-drama and how it needs to just stop. And the focus needs to be about the paranormal. Don't you agree? The paranormal is what I know. That's what I love. I love the paranormal. I don't like the gossip and such. But how are you?
I agree with you 100%. Many people talk to me, about people and the drama, and like I call drama book, which Facebook, of course. And I told them I'd rather talk to the dead people. They're more interesting.
Thank you. But you know what? I've been saying this all week and last week as well. How can we expect the dead to communicate with us when we can't even have a decent conversation with the living?
Well, absolutely correct. And you with all the people out there who are it's no wonder as to, and I tell people, when you want to talk to them as if they're another person, because that's exactly what they are. They just happen to be dead.
Exactly.
And they were.
Exactly. Oops, I think you're breaking up there, Mike.
Uh-oh. I don't want to have that happen.
Uh-oh. I know, right? We don't have room for a breakup. There might be some drama.
Well, I'm going to try and put this in one place and put it on speakerphone, and hopefully I'll be able to hear you as well as you can hear me. How do I sound now? Good.
Perfect. Oh, awesome. Yeah, this whole drama thing, I honestly, I'm over it. I for some reason, I don't have to do a thing and get included. And it's disheartening. It just brings out, all this negativity. And what is it that we tell people? You don't drink or use drugs and try to talk or communicate with the other side. And you don't go angry into your communications. If you're in a bad mood, perhaps it's not the right time to try to communicate with the other side. And we can't, we just need to all talk to each other with respect, love, and compassion, and do the same when we're communicating with the dead or the living. That's the way I feel.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to describe to you a particular incident and an EVP that I had got when I was in Centralia. That, of course, is the town that doesn't exist anymore. And I happened to have been in the Russian graveyard, about in the center of the graveyard. and I'm not Russian, but I told them there, I said, now I'm not Russian, but I am Slavic because I do have some Polish descent, and therefore if there is a message or anything that anyone here wants to say, I'd be more than happy to, send it on to the party you want, or if anyone wants a conversation, I'd be more than happy to sit and talk. Well, after that, of course, I did get a couple little noises, grumbles, and what have you. I was using an RT unit real time with 6-second delay, and it was just after that I got the absolute Class A response, "My time has ended." That was the phrase I got. And that told me right away, okay, here's a gentleman who didn't want to talk. Out of respect for me, he did speak to tell me he didn't want to talk. And I was extremely pleased with that.
Wow. That, you know what, that shows leaps and bounds and maturity on the other side that we can't have on this side right now. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I don't understand why more people can't respond properly like that. And they'll be amazed at what responses they'll be able to get.
Definitely. Wow. That speaks volumes to me. That just shows you. It's like, I don't know. I've just been so disappointed, and I know that I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people who have been, basically, I've seen people get picked on. There's a group of, there's a person who, we all know who that is. I don't even have to go there, who makes it like a career goal to basically run people out of paranormal. And I know one of the, it's a horrible, horrible thing. And, when there's groups that are basically, it's almost like gangs. I'm going to compare it to gangs because it's like teaming up to destroy people. And I'm sorry, whether, I don't care who you are or what you're doing. There are some people who do some things that, might not be my style. I might not agree with it. But you know what? It's not my place to sit and ridicule or judge, or not, and before I even get to know them even too. And that's like when we go into a haunted location, we're doing a session, and it happens to be something that's a rather dark type of history. There's people who you see on TV who go in and they start screaming and yelling and just acting a fool and provoking. And I'll admit there are times where I haven't been yelling or ignorant or anything like that, but I've kind of maybe, said some things just to try to get them to respond. Never to the crossing the line though. But that's even talking to someone who's not there in front of me. Yet alone when you've got these keyboard warriors who are like blasting each other. Like I've seen it all this week. On another topic, before I get on my soapbox all the way on that one. Another topic. So you're in Baltimore, and I'm near Baltimore. How did you fare during the whole riot situation?
With a lot of prayer, because unfortunately, with my job, I actually work out there where things were happening. So luckily, there was no catastrophes that involved my need to be out there. And I'll be honest, the whole time I was praying, please don't send me out there in that mess. And I was prepared.
Good, because I was actually down there for the WavyCon. And, it was funny. We were all cracking jokes, because on Saturday evening we were actually, I was planning on heading home on Saturday evening when everything was over. But I actually ended up having to stay the night because, it was basically, I was standing outside and a gentleman walked up to me and he said to me, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Please don't go. Please don't leave." And I was like, it's not like I had my bags in my hand or anything, but it was like he was like said to me, and he was like, "Please don't go." He's like, "I want you to stay safe." He goes, "I've seen some really horrible things this evening." He said, "I saw people getting pulled out of their cars and cars flipped over." And, here I am standing where it's apparently happening on, I guess, where we were at on Lafayette. Evidently it was kind of happening all around, because then we had the looters coming by trying to sell stuff in front of the hotel for $1. So we were, right in the middle of all of it, evidently. And, he came up to me, he doesn't know me, and, just asked me to stay there and be safe. Well, I just had to take that as he was like a messenger, telling me, please stay here. I don't want you to go out and in this mess, and just stay here till tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, it just so happens I was actually able to, but I go home and I'm watching it on the news, and it's like, I know, because this is this is our hometown. This is somewhere where I've spent a lot of my life, a lot of my time down in the city, and to see it on the news, it was like watching a third world country.
Mm-hmm.
It did not seem like it could be here. And then you see, the landmarks that we all know. And, the real kicker was watching it and going, oh, my gosh, I was just on that street yesterday. I walked down that street yesterday morning to go get coffee. And it blew my mind to have it right here at home. I'm not one to watch because I find it to be depressing. But so I really didn't even know of it. I'm just horrible. I'm so uninformed. If it was paranormal, I might have known. But other than that, I'm out of the loop. And I was totally out of the loop. I did not know anything that was occurring. And when I saw somebody say something about bringing Ferguson to Baltimore, I really thought that they were bringing someone and putting them on trial here because it was just too crazy there. So this is how uninformed I am, walking, into all that. And I was actually surprised we did not get blamed having all these Ouija boards and all these seance sessions in Baltimore, that we were like the cause of all the uproar. I thought that was pretty funny to hear that, because it was like the ongoing joke. The Boston Red Sox were in town. So
I didn't see anything about that at all.
Really?
I didn't see anything where anyone was saying any of that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad of that.
It was a good one. It was a good event. I think if anything, we kept it all under control, okay, because, we had guidance and such. But what I wanted to ask you, so with you having, all these years of paranormal experience and things of that sort, have you ever tinkered with a Ouija board?
I'm sorry, I missed that last part. What did you say?
Have you ever tinkered with a Ouija board? Do you Ouija?
Well, I did. From time to time, I have. I'm not really into it. I kind of stay away from it. However, I did. I think it was like 2 years ago. I participated in an experiment in Gettysburg with Mr. March. We were doing a documentary on what can happen using the Ouija board, and he had a whole bunch of people using it. One of us were blindfolded. The other one was not, and we tried to see if anyone was actually sort of pushing the plankton around, to try to get the answers to come up. It was just a bunch of tests we were doing, really. And the results were rather interesting by the end of the day. Now, nothing benevolent seemed to have happened to anybody doing the test. And then that was good. In fact, I even have, in my case of things that I have put up, is one of the boards from the test that we were using. And we got some interesting answers, like I said. I'm trying to remember what it was that did occur. We were filming it, and when a camera got close to us, our board starts spelling out, doggone, now I can't remember his name. It was one of the real old men who originally did filming. D.W. Griffith, that's what it said. It was really interesting because the camera was focused on me and this other gentleman who we were put together because we've got the best responses out of the questions that were put before us. And when they put the camera near us, they were zooming in on us. Instead of answering the question, the board spelled out D.W. Griffith, which everyone thought was rather interesting because the camera was so close to us.
Oh, wow. That's great. Wow. Wow, that's awesome. You know, like before I went, I got Ouija boards. You know, I took mine to church when I was little because I didn't know that it was thought to be the tool of Satan. But I found that out when I was leaving church, walking out with it like under my arm. Oh boy, I got in some serious trouble at church. It was kind of amusing now that I look back on it, but at the time, I just totally didn't even have a clue, like why I was getting basically reamed out for taking it to church. But I bought it. My mom bought it for me at Walmart when I was little. You know, I didn't know that it had this, big story behind it and all this other stuff. It says it's a game, and it says, fortune telling game. So here, what was I to think? I was like 8 years old. My mom let me do it. I blame my mother. No kidding. But, it was like I didn't know that it had this whole story behind it. I was, just bringing it in. I was excited. I got a new toy. But with that being said, now I have the blessed Ouija board. But whenever I try to use one, it's, depending on, it doesn't matter really who I use it with. I haven't always had, some people, it's like they touch it and instantly, it's zooming around the board and they're getting all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay, you're either really, like, connected and good or something, or, like, I'm just, I just suck. I don't know. Like, and, of course, there's some people who you see them moving their eyes and doing their little, moving it around, getting what they want out of it, I guess. And so, I don't know. I've heard all these stories and everything, and, I've tried many, many times, and I haven't had much of a response. But at the WouijaCon, I used a different type of board, and it was one made by Barry Strong. And I met him while I was there. It's very neat. It's actually made of glass, and it has a quartz, glass instead of a planchette. And it was really, really cool. It was awesome. And I sat there and I did it with him, and actually what we were getting in response, first of all, I was shocked when the damn thing moved. I mean, I was like, wowie zowie, because for me, it's usually sitting there a whole lot of time, and you get somebody who has a random twitch, and it might move a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that was just me. Okay. And, so actually getting, a response, it was really exciting to me. But I thought it was interesting to see the different types of boards, and how they've evolved over time. And that made me think about, our EVP recorders, our IPC software, or radios, or now apps, and how those have evolved over time. And, well, damn it, I want to go to, instead of, I'd love to go to another WouijaCon, but I want to go to, an EVP-a-con. So see how the radio, to see how spirit communication has evolved over time. Wouldn't that be cool? I know you'd be.
It would be. Right? First of all, in order to really have that, you're going to have more and more people actually getting more involved in the scientific end of it. And rather than, I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to say it, the fly-by-night investigators, anybody can get an EVP, but to really know what to do with it and get the good ones, you got to really practice at it, and you got to follow certain guidelines. And I tell people this all the time, and of course I get big arguments. Oh, well, what makes you think that the way I do it is wrong and the way you do it is right? And I tell people, I use the same statement. I say, look, let's look at it this way. I can walk to California if I wanted to, but I'd sure rather take the plane. So if I can get rid of all the parts that people do that does not serve any real purpose, then all we have left is the efficient way of doing things. And it doesn't mean that anybody's method is wrong. It just means that quite often a lot of people do extra stuff that do nothing but waste time.
I agree. And, I love how, oh boy, I've heard some really, really great EVPs. And, I'm sorry, but you have to look at it from a outside perspective, first of all. You have to be very skeptical. When my whole code, I guess, with EVPs and anything else is when in doubt, throw it out. And, I probably credited my own stuff based on that particular method. If you were on I was talking last night, I was on a show, and I said when a group goes in for an investigation, they have 13 team members, and they're dragging all 13 team members into a standard like rancher type home. What is that doing? What type of evidence are you planning on stating this is a Class A EVP? But I have 12 other mouths other than just my own and movements to account for. That's a lot of outside noise. Whether or not they're standing there and they're trying to be as quiet as possible, let's face it, we all make noise. And I mean, I've heard some that I'm like, no, that wasn't, I don't think that's an EVP. That sounds like that person. And, the person who got it, of course, is like, oh, no, that's definitely an EVP. And I have to question it. But I've heard some whoppers.
One thing I do often, just like when I talk about the big subject about orbs, and I tell people to create a book of orbs, of different orbs done by different cameras of theirs and what they look like and what they actually really are. I do the same thing when it comes to EVPs. I tell people that they should record sounds, even play games with their group, playing sounds and have them identify them. This is a great way to learn how to debunk EVPs. And in addition to that, and I'm going to throw this in too, I go way into the scientific of it, looking at stuff on an oscilloscope and everything. And I did this past weekend. I was in Gettysburg, and I was with some friends of mine, including the Ghost Soldiers. I'm going to plug in for them. So they're some very nice people. But one thing in particular that made me feel good, when I was sitting there talking with them, and we were going over some EVPs together, and I was showing some oscillographic visuals of EVPs, they came to me and says, yes, that one's an EVP, and no, that one isn't. And I said, so you know the difference? And they said, yes. So I felt good that I was with other people who scientifically debunk EVPs, because that's when you really find out the difference between your fake ones and your real ones. And honestly, I'm going to put another plug in here, only it's for us actually. The lecture I plan to give in July is going to be on just that subject, how to tell the difference between a fake one and a real one.
Yay. That's needed. It's very needed. People watch these TV shows, and they go, oh, we got an EVP. And all they see is the person, who has got the recorder in their hand, and then suddenly it zooms outside to command, or it goes back to the whatever they're in the next day reviewing their stuff, and they see it on the computer screen. And they go, look, and then they have it clipped real pretty, and they go, check it out, and they don't go into enough detail about how they distinguish that was an EVP. They don't go into any of that. And they just, poof, an EVP, it's like rating EVPs. It's great. And there's a whole lot of people on that, 1 hour segment, which ends up being 42 minutes of airtime that they are not going to want to sit through that. I, on the other hand, I love the science part. I find it incredibly interesting. And I think that, for those who are in the paranormal community who feel they've got, they're out investigating, they feel they've got a grasp, need to take and really look into the scientific, sound-wise information when you can sit there and look at a screen and see the levels of noise and things like that, and, brown noise, pink noise, all the different types of noise. There's a lot of things involved that go into play when you bring into, and I love how people go, it's not scientific. This is, this is. This part is.
Sure it is.
But you mentioned something I want to talk about, because there's actually someone in the chat who we've been talking about this, and this is orbs. And typically I go, orbs, ooh, I don't know. Because I think we've all had that person who comes up at a convention and they've got their camera or they've got this picture and it's all blown up and they're like, okay, hold it sideways, hold it back about 6 feet and squint. Did you see it? And you're like, oh, yeah, sure. What is your definition of an orb?
Well, An orb, I used to know the full technical name, but it's an orbital bit.
Oh.
It's basically what an orb is a spot on the recorded picture that the computer was unable to actually print for you what really was there because it doesn't have a program to distinguish what that was. Now, that's actually the more technical name of what an orb is. Now, there are all kinds of orbs, though. There are light orbs, there are dust orbs, there is water orbs, and you can distinguish these apart. And as I said earlier, I tell people, make a little booklet up. If you use this particular camera to take most of your photographs, every time you get an orb, and as soon as you figure out what it really was, then put a picture of it and mark it that this is a dust orb, this is a water orb. And there's distinctive things you can learn about these things. Now, are there paranormal orbs? Yes. First of all, there's a small percentage of all the orbs we see that are paranormal. And when I say paranormal, that means that they're just not normal. Does it mean they're an entity? Not necessarily. There's even a smaller percentage in that it may be an entity. Now, if we get down into the nitty-gritty of an entity being an orb, there are certain characteristics that we have to look for. One, if it is a ball of light, it has to be giving off its own light. It can't be reflecting light. Most orbs reflect light. They don't give off light.
Right.
So this is one big difference between them. In addition to that, they may be visible to the naked eye, and they may not be. I have got pictures of some orbs that only show up in infrared. So obviously there's heat involved, but they are orbs. So that's why we have the infrared. That's why we have the full spectrum cameras, so we can pick the stuff up, so we can see stuff that our eye is not seeing, because there's a lot going on out of the range of our eyes, and this is why we need to pick this up. But again, quite often, I'm going to say this, quite often someone will say, hey, there's a face in my orb. Yeah, because you're looking at a bug. In most cases, that's what you're going to be looking at. And the face will reflect through. It's a matter of optical perspective, why it may look big, why it may look small. And usually the reason why there's a face in there is because it's actually a reflection off the lens. Now, you're going to say, well, how can that little thing reflect? It will. You'd be amazed how much light is reflected off of a lens or a mirror and that you don't even see. And it's a matter of the angles that they're on at the time you see or don't see them. And the same thing happens with a lot of your orbs. I take most of my pictures without a flash. That way I won't get the orbs unless there is something there. If you use
now
a
I have a
constant
question
light,
for that one, though. What if it is like you're using a camera, okay, and you're using like a webcam, okay, or a phone even to capture video, and you have the same exact light source, and you have they're moving in a particular pattern, and they actually are a different color visually through the camera.
Those are the ones I put in that area as being paranormal. Now, I can't say whether they are an entity or not because I don't have the expertise in that area. But I'm going to say that they're definitely paranormal. I've had things that look like dust orbs actually come into a room, circle an object that I just placed in the room, and then go through the floor and come back through the front door again and go around the item and then back down through the same hole. Dust doesn't do that. And a bug wouldn't do that either.
Right. See, that's
so
interesting.
That's
I used to hear like when I came in. Well, when I came in, I said, orbs. Oh, well, because a lot of people have, these squared out things, bright red circles around it saying, this is what I see. And if I see it without that, I go, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But actually, I have, one of my friends actually has a web show on YouTube, and I've actually been watching her orbs. And, you know, and I'll be honest, before seeing hers, this is just crazy. Like, sometimes I'll just sit and, you know, literally sit there while she's not on, and we'll watch these things, and they're just amazing. And it's really confusing the hell out of me, because I thought, the standard paranormal, orbs, I don't want to touch it. But now I'm really questioning it, because these are moving in a pattern I've never seen anything else move. They have characteristics that are completely different than every other freaking orb picture or video I've ever seen. Even watching, the first few seasons of TAPS, where, they went to the one, I think, a church, and they had orbs, but it wasn't really orbs, it was like a bug, and things of that sort, and it really has changed my point of view, and she's actually in the chat room. Damn you for making me question stuff now, because now here, I question more and more stuff every day now in the paranormal. I feel like I'm a paranormal question box. But I guess
that's good. The more questions you have, the better you'll be at it.
Yeah, well, I got plenty. In fact, you know what? I think I've actually got somebody here who might be able to chime in on their view on orbs. What's your view on orbs?
See, I'll be honest with you. When I first started even discussing orbs with anyone, I was taught to cut and dry, and that was the dust on one side and the light that's moving that creates its own, source. And I mentioned that when I first started talking about it. And then if you listened real close, I was talking about a small portion that's paranormal, meaning that it's not normal, because I wanted to distinguish that, because, it's not normal for an orb to circle things. It's not normal for an orb to travel around a room in a certain pattern and duplicate the pattern. These are not normal things. And what they are, I can't answer that. Unfortunately, that's not one of the projects I'm working on right now. Eventually, I'm going to get back into that.
I'll have you connect with her and check out what she's got going on there, because I'll tell you, it's really opened up my mind when it comes to something that I had originally, and that's a lovely thing in the paranormal. I like to, I do change my mind occasionally, and I think that that's okay. But apparently the public opinion is that you can't change your mind on anything. I learn new things every day, and it may change my opinion on something. And, I think that's okay. So I just want to say a little disclaimer.
Always learns new stuff. Good scientists always learn new stuff every day, and they will change their hypothesis every day if necessary. Whatever new information they'll have, they alter their hypothesis. You don't really know the whole truth at this point. I mean, I have heard of people. In fact, it was 2 days ago, I was told a story of a person setting up a light grid using a laser, and one of the dots dislodged itself from the grid and followed across the floor and start chasing someone. That's definitely not normal. And what that was, they don't know, but they did record it. And things like this do happen. So, I would like to be in touch with your friend and see what she has. Because, yes, the more we learn, the more we investigate and use logical explanations for things, the better off we are and the better we are at our field. And the one thing I always say, even on my website, I talk about, it's great that the plumbers started investigating because they knew what pipes went bump in the night. But we need to get together with all the other people that do jobs all over. And if they are an expert at what they do, they're also an expert as in what is not normal. So when their equipment that normally detects, let's say, leaky faucet or an electrical short, if this is doing something that's not normal for that device to do, then we know something else is going on. And this is the way you scientifically investigate things that you don't have answers for. You don't always have to know the whole subject. And, of course, the paranormal, we don't know. So we have to look at it as to what it's not. And that's the only way you can find that answer, what it's not.
Thank you. Well, you know what? We actually have somebody who's going to be joining us right now. I believe he might be here, who happens to be an expert in paranormal radio stations.
Oh.
Do you happen to be there? Is Rob here?
I am, but I don't know if I'm an expert or not. So,
well, I just gave you the title. Welcome aboard.
Wow. If I'm officially deemed that title, I'm going to start using it on everything.
You have to raise your rate?
Yeah. I charge different fees and everything, but...
The paranormal radio station, man. That's good.
Right.
There you go.
Well, I've been listening quietly, and I didn't expect that kind of introduction, so the introduction threw me for a loop.
Oh, look, I blew him away, speechless. That could be right. Paranormal people.
Usually it's that guy. That's how I'm introduced. So.
That was pretty nice there. Huh?
Other than that guy, I kind of, threw me for a loop. But I agree with everything you've been talking about. And I think it's funny with the orbs or light balls and everything that I guess were taboo in a taboo subject already. And, I've seen it firsthand myself. And it's always, even when Niki and I don't know if she touched on this or not, when we were doing an investigation over the winter, we kept getting balls of light. And no one wanted to say that they were seeing balls of light.
I just thought about that. I just came across that video, actually. I need to put it up.
There was 4 of us doing an investigation, and we were all seeing balls of light. And because of the stigma, I guess, of the balls of light and orbs, no one was saying anything. But then probably 3 hours into the investigation, I was like, I don't know if anyone else is seeing this, but there's a flash of light, and we all agreed that no one wanted to say that we were seeing a ball of light because everyone, no one wanted to admit it because everyone thinks it's not, paranormal or, something, it's taboo within the paranormal. And I found that very funny because we were all getting the same thing, but no one wanted to share that they were seeing
I thought it was my vision. I'll be honest with you.
I thought it was mine too.
If I look into light, then I see little dots of light sometimes. So especially on an investigation, if I'm looking into, one of my cameras or if I happen to catch, a part of the laser grid, it makes me question if I'm just seeing things properly. Because I do. I've got blue eyes. I'm real sensitive to light. God forbid, if I'm driving at night with headlights, I see orbs everywhere, okay? So I didn't know if it was just me, and, I'm weird anyway. But I'm like,
no,
we all did, but they were colored light. They were colored.
It was definitely interesting. We were getting the balls of light, and then we would hear, wrestling around in the corners.
Yeah.
We were in it was set up for, a conference, so there were tablecloths being, sound like wrestling around on tablecloths, and then we get the balls and lights going back and forth, and it was amazing and kind of funny to think that 4 people who have been doing it for a long time would not want to mention it. Just
ignore
because, their people tend to not believe it. So I like that. We should review that.
Because that happens, Rob, when you're really seeing the real thing, you almost don't want to accept the truth that, wait a minute, now, I've had all the stuff that's all fake or not the real thing. Now I'm seeing the real thing, and should I believe in this? That does happen a lot. I agree with you. It's difficult to accept it when you're seeing the real thing.
Well, and I think that it's sad to think that there's been such a bad name put on the orbs. Though, when you just say orbs, it's sometimes it just rolls off the tongue and makes you smile because, it's a lot of times it's bugs.
Dude, the way you just said it sounds like a little disgust hidden in orbs.
Orbs. But, that, and I'm not sure I was going to go there with it, but I have...
but I just had the body now. Okay, sorry.
I guess.
if I could add this in, back when you asked me the question about the orbs, that's why I said there is a small percentage that comes under the paranormal. These are where we don't have an answer for what there are, and they're definitely not the bugs. They're definitely not the dust. They're definitely not the moisture. But what are they? Well, we don't really know. But they're definitely not those things we normally see. So these are, what do we call them, real orbs? They're all orbs, but these are in that category that we really need to investigate more.
Very true.
Well,
There's so
I
much
agree.
to do.
And when it comes to like the light bulbs or light balls or the flashing lights, which I have seen firsthand, and it's interesting because you constantly you I guess learn to try to debunk things, and sometimes you just instantly debunk it without giving it its due credit. Because I know I've been places where I was getting almost like a strobe light, and I was like, "There's no chance. There's just somebody outside or something's going on," and that's your first instinct. But I think it's funny that sometimes some of that stuff you just overlook it as being not paranormal, but it sometimes is. So I agree with your assessment on the orbs.
Definitely. Now I have a question too. I have another random question because I'm full of randomness. They should call me Random Niki. What about EM pumps? Do they?
Are you asking me or Rob that question?
Gaining energy. I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
What do you think of EM pumps? Yes. Because I don't know.
I've used them, and I have had some results, but the results in it has not been conclusive because I've used several different types of devices that create energy. It seems to, I say seem, because I seem to feel that there is an increase in activity caused by using them, but it's not definite. In other words, you don't want to go out and buy one and then sit it down and say, well, this is going to make a ghost come out. That's not true. Sometimes it could help you. Sometimes it has no effect at all. And I really believe that has to do with the amount of energy that they have or need or require, and they may not even be able to get to the energy you're giving them. So, yes, they can be helpful. I've had them work, or at least I'm going to assume they work, because my evidence is not conclusive. Could it have worked without it? I don't know. Unfortunately, I have not been able to duplicate that same test in the same circumstances at this time to be able to say, well, if I didn't use it, I would have got the same results.
Right.
But yes, I still see there's some value in it, and anything that will give us some value, I still go with. So I guess the best way I can answer that question is, yes, if it's possible to use it, try it.
Okay. Very cool, very cool. All right. Well, I will possibly add one to my collection just to give it a whirl. And I guess that's one of the hardest things within the paranormal is to try to recreate a situation that, it's almost like a moment in time to try to have two different scenarios go on, because we all know you could have a burst of activity and then you could have no activity for, gosh, I know some places I've gone many, many times. First time was awesome, and every other time it was like they all ran away and hid. It was like, oh, we don't want to play today. And after my first investigation, I'm like, oh, my gosh, you've got to go to this place. It's off the chain. It's crazy. It's awesome. We had a really great, experiences there. And then you go again, and it's like, okay, it's like a ghost town. Ha, ha, ha. No, there's no ghost in town. There was, nothing happening. It's like watching paint dry. And I know, you can't sign a contract, but, to be able to compare and contrast using a piece of equipment versus not using a piece of equipment, it's almost like you would have to split, like just that moment in time to try with and without. So it's hard to duplicate some of this stuff in the paranormal that we, obviously experience and things of that sort.
Well, that's true. And my way of testing it to the best of my ability, I have a building that's haunted that I use as a test building, and any questions that someone gives me or a procedure that they want to experiment with or just a device that they want to try out, I will use it in this building. I pretty much know what will happen under what circumstances in the building and can tell pretty much, not conclusively now because there's still a variance there, but I can get a pretty good idea if a procedure is working well, if the device is causing some difference. And sometimes, particularly with the fact that I do have a bit of connection, I might say, with some of the entities there, they will give me little tips here and there, but they're limited with that too, because I do happen to know that as far as what information they can give you, their hands are tied. If they could just give us all the answers we wanted, we'd have known it long ago. No matter how bad the person was asking the questions, and the reason is that they're limited to what they're able to tell us. Not that they don't know, I'm sure they know, but I've learned this through many of the EVPs I've gotten, that there are overseers that watch them and judge how far they can go in a conversation.
Wow. Now I have a bigger question. How the hell do you get a place like that, and how do I get in one of those? A place that you can do that? Because I'm like sitting here all the time.
Join my staff. That's all you have to do is join my staff.
There you go. Hey, I want to join. I was actually, when everyone was in town for WeeGeeCon, and I get asked all the time, locally, where do I go? And I said, you know what? I am not the person to ask because I honestly have not done very, very many investigations in the state of Maryland. Typically, I am not in Maryland when I investigate. So when people want to know where to go here, I'm like, you can come to my house. But other than that, I usually go out of state. So, yeah. The
particular building that I use now, I've been investigating there since 2009. And between 2009 and to date, I've logged 107 investigations in this one building.
Wow.
And that's
cool.
Because of that, that's how I can answer certain questions.
Wow.
Now, I'm certain most people have never done that many investigations in one building.
I was going to say, I've never investigated a building that many times. But I'll say, I have investigated one particular location many, many times, and I thought that perhaps we would have a familiar feel, but evidently no. I guess that, I don't know. When you go back to one place so many times, it's almost like you feel like you would build, almost like a relationship, if you will, with things that are occurring there.
That's the whole key thing. The entities have built up a relationship with me, and they even, when I'm not there and someone else is investigating, they'll even ask where I'm at. Many people have gotten EVP saying, is Mike with you? Or, where's Mike?
That's awesome.
Because they expect me to be there.
Yeah, I have a location actually that the woman who owns it said it's never occurred before, but I am, it's almost like an unhealthy probably focus on this one particular location that I adore. And evidently when I left, I think the location, whoever might be there, feels the same way because evidently it was saying my name after I left. And she said it's never happened before. And so I'm dying to get back there because it's like, I really feel like I love this place. I love this place. And I want to go back, and I loved it before I ever went. And it's like the building loves me too. And it sounds silly to say, but it's like, when you have somewhere that you just, and I know when I walked into this place, I felt instantly like there was a connection, and I've never had a connection before in my life, not even my home. So it's like, I don't know, it was really calling me, you know. It was weird. Definitely weird. We're actually coming up on the end of the time, so I want to give you time to give everyone your information and how they can reach out to you, find out more about you, your website, things like that.
Are you ready now?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, you can contact me through the Paranormal Man website. It's www.theparanormalman.com. My email is mike@theparanormalman.com. And if need be, you can contact me through the office number, which is 443-326-8568. And I will attempt to answer any question you ask. And if I don't have an answer, I will find one. I don't make them up, but I will find one. That's something I'm very particular about. I won't. If I don't actually know an answer, I will say, "Hey, look, I don't know this answer, but we'll look into it." And we even have several projects on the website that we're doing.
You know, that's very important.
I'm sorry, I was talking while you were.
Honest answer. Oh, no, it's an awesome answer, you know, because, you know, one person does not know everything. But, you know, they might know, they know the person they're going to hold up to get that answer.
I won't pull anyone's leg. You know, if I don't have an answer, I will tell you that. But you know, a lot of times when you raise the question, now I'm going to say, well, you know what? Now I want to know the answer to that. So, you know, I may start investigating that object or that particular happening.
That's definitely, I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, let me look into that. That's really interesting. Or even if I just hear it coming up in conversation, like, you know, I'm just listening and I'm like, oh, I got to go home and look into that. Like, I just find that awesome. That's absolutely awesome because I heard quite a few people get their heads filled full of junk. So if you want the truth, call up Mike. Go to ParaNormalMan.com or Mike@theparanormalman.com to email him a question. And I'm going to get you in touch with my friend who's got those awesome orbs going on.
Yeah, give her my phone number. Have her call me. Yeah. I really do want to get in touch with her, and maybe we can collaborate on something.
Yeah, that would be really awesome because I know that, you know, I know it's first thing I've ever seen that's really made me really go, holy crap, what the, you know, so I'd really love to see if, you know, you guys could come up, you know, with something or give me an answer. What the hell is that? Is that an orb? So I'd love to know. So there you go. Well, thank you for being a guest again. And I can't wait to sit through your talk at the Paranormal Supercon to find out the scientific side of the EVP. Is it real? Is it not?
Yeah, most definitely. I can't wait to be there.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again. And I might be getting a hold of you here soon. I got some questions I need answered.
Certainly. Please do.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much. And I know I'll see you soon or talk to you soon.
Definitely. Take care. All right, everybody. That was Mike Stevenson, and this has been Paranormal Supercon Radio. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for bearing with me with my items in my keyboard and making the studio awkward in the beginning. But thank you so much, and remember, everyone, be kind to each other. Bye.